when trees fall down after a short period of time, about 18 months, they become very dry. They become really like a matchstick. And they get up, there's no more water pouring through, and they become very, very, they just explode. They can explode. Also, leaves. When you have years of leaves, dried leaves on the ground, it just sets it up. It's really a fuel for a fire. So they have to do something about it. They also have to do cuts. I mean, people don't like to do cuts, but they have to do cuts in between. So if you do have a fire and it gets away, you'll have a 50-yard cut in between, so it won't be able to catch to the other side. They don't do that. If you go to other countries, you go to Austria, you go to Finland, you go to many different countries, and they don't have fire. I was talking to a head of a major country, and he said, we're a forest nation. We consider ourselves a forest nation. This was in Europe. I said, that's a beautiful term. He said, we have trees that are far more explosive. He meant explosive in terms of fire. But we have trees that are far more explosive than they have in California, and we don't have any problem because we manage our forests. So we have to do that in California, too. So I'll go do this, and we'll see you in a little while. Thank you.
Mr. President, you mentioned about forest.
This is Trump letting us in on what I can only assume is the most cutting-edge science behind why wildfires in California are becoming more prevalent, growing bigger, and moving faster than ever before. And the answer is that trees spontaneously combust into a fiery inferno, as described by Donald Trump, the guy who stared directly into a solar eclipse. In reality, for the non-Trump University climatology majors out there, the reason that wildfires are growing in size and frequency is because wildfire conditions are being exacerbated by climate change. The West Coast is being hit with unusual summer winds on top of a record-breaking heat wave that's keeping temperatures high and leaving the landscape dry, meaning that it doesn't take much for a wildfire to get sparked. And because of climate change, we're seeing record temperatures every single year. 9 out of the 10 warmest years on record have occurred in just the last 15 years since 2005. And the world's 5 warmest years on record have all occurred since 2015. In fact, just weeks ago, Death Valley, California hit 130 degrees, the top 3 highest temperature ever recorded on Earth. And look, in Trump's defense, maybe what he was trying to get at was that trees are more inclined to catch fire given the conditions. But this is the President of the United States. Learn to communicate. Learn to use your words so that the point you're trying to make comes across when the words actually leave your lips. And if you're not able to form a coherent thought, don't. Just let the experts speak so that the line that steals the news cycle doesn't become that wildfires are caused when trees explode. And B, instead of going around playing climatologist, maybe Trump should actually take action to rectify the situation. And yet he's done the complete opposite. Trump has not only taken the US out of the Paris Climate Agreement, he's not only cast doubt on the existence of climate change, but he's moved to reverse a staggering 100 environmental rules. His administration has weakened Obama-era limits on planet-warming carbon dioxide emissions from power plants and from cars and trucks. He's weakened protections for wetlands, loosened mercury emissions rules, cut back on protected areas for oil and gas leasing, and rolled back rules governing clean air, water, and toxic chemicals. So while him offering his inane pseudoscience like exploding trees is bad enough on its own, what's worse is that his actions as president have actually exacerbated the climate change-fueled devastation that we're seeing all across the country. And by the way, it's not just in California. The hurricanes hitting the southeast are getting stronger and costlier. The droughts and tornadoes impacting the Midwest are getting more severe. Farmers are having more difficulty growing crops that feed the entire nation. This is an issue that affects every single one of us. And Donald Trump and the Republican Party more broadly are the only thing standing in the way of actually addressing and solving these issues. The fact is that this shouldn't be a partisan issue. The science here is no longer up for debate. And yet, as long as Republicans are in power, they'll pretend that it is, also that they can continue collecting campaign donations from oil and gas companies. So ask yourself what's more important, the air you breathe and the water you drink and the planet you live on, or a GOP re-election campaign? Because at the end of the day, that is exactly what this boils down to. While you're here, please subscribe to my podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, where I take a deeper dive into the week's biggest stories and interview major players in the world of politics, like Kamala Harris, Adam Schiff, Katie Porter, Nancy Pelosi, Cory Booker, Eric Swalwell, and many more. Again, that's No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, available anywhere you listen to podcasts.